Hey, Julie. This is my friend Julie.
Hello.
And I'm so excited to have you on my podcast. And I still remember the first time I met you, you were playing the guitar at the Christmas Young Women's program. And it was so beautiful. And I was like, I need to meet this wonderful lady. And then I found out you homeschooled. That was before I even homeschooled. And I remember we always have been trying to connect. And every time I see you, just like this light that walks by. And I'm just so excited to interview you today and get your take on how you get personal revelation in your house and homeschool. So let's go with our first question. So what brought you to homeschooling?
Okay, well, it's just so interesting to think back on like how it all kind of transpired, because everybody has their own story and
Right.
you're just kind of going through life and of course so happy with these little kids and like we were so happy we couldn't have kids for a while and so
Mhm.
once we did have them, we were just in heaven. We had
Mm.
these kids, they kind of came quickly. So we had four that were 4 and under, and it was
Mhm.
such a gift and a blessing. We just saw
Mm.
some real miracles and know that they were miracles and tender mercies from Heavenly Father. So,
Mhm.
so when Anna, because they were so close together, we wanted Anna to have some experiences that were away from, just with some friends and stuff. So we sent
Mhm.
her to half day kindergarten. But when it came time
Mm.
to have her go into first grade, then it was a full day. And I just was not feeling right about it. I just wasn't feeling settled.
Mm.
And I just thought I, to send her away all day. And in my mind, the way that I looked at it, it was like, oh
Mhm.
my gosh, this is every year for here for forever until she's a senior. And then after that, she's just gone.
Mhm.
And so so I just thought, I don't think I'm ready to do that. Like, it's not something that I feel like I can do. So, sorry.
Totally fine.
So, thus why we like trying to get this interview to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But all the colds that have been going around. But anyways, so my sister, I said, I don't know if I'm feeling good about that.
Mhm.
I want to maybe homeschool. And my sister said, I know I have a friend who has homeschooled all 10 of her kids.
Um,
And so she gave me her number and I called her and said, I'm thinking about not sending Anna to school. And I was wondering if I could just come over and talk to you about like how you do it and like what it all has all entailed for you. So I went over and talked to this friend. She's amazing. And she showed me, I was like, well, what do you do for curriculum and like
mhm.
things like that? And just kind of wondering about that. And then so she showed me what they've done when they were out of state and now what they do when they've been in state. And then um, you know what, in the end, you'll never regret spending more time with your kids, with your children. And that was the seal of the deal for me because that's what I needed to hear. And I was like, I won't regret spending more time with my children. And that's actually what I want. And that's why I'm feeling that I want to do this is I need more time with our family being together and with them in our home. And it's been a blessing ever since because you can go forward and you're learning with them and you're seeing them in all of these moments of their day,
Mhm.
like
Yes.
just with this, they come to know something or something sparks like to
Mhm.
them to go, oh, I get it. Or,
Mhm. You were
it's
there to
just so
witness it.
creative. You're there to
Yeah.
witness it and to experience it with
Mhm.
them. So that's kind of what started it out for me
I love
and my
that.
husband. He was totally on board.
Isn't
So
that such a blessing too?
it is a
Wow.
blessing. Yeah. He's
That's
like, oh yeah, no, this is going to be great. I'll do field trip Fridays and
oh,
you do
you
the
do that
other
too?
days.
That's
And then
awesome.
it would come time for him to, to be like, oh yeah, you need a break. And so I'll take him on field trip Friday and you take a break. And I'll be like, I'm not taking a break for field trip Friday. I'm coming on field trip Friday. Why would I miss that? That's the fun part. I mean, it's all fun, but
Uh-huh.
I was like, I don't want to miss out on that either. So
Uh-huh.
we did it. Family field trip Friday.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, so wonderful.
So you said something a minute ago that that's kind of why you started off. Have there been additional reasons as you've gone, along the way that you've continued or that you've like, oh, this is a side benefit, is anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely I feel like like the relationships that the kids have, their friendships amongst each other, they are each other's best friends.
Mm,
So, we started homeschooling in Anna and all of them in 2010, but that's when she would have gone to first grade.
okay.
And so it's been 14 years now, and such a, and I think all through all the years,
Mhm,
you continually get, the Spirit's going to continually speak to you.
mhm,
And as with all of us, no matter where our kids are
mhm.
for school or whatever. So you just continually get these promptings that are like, yeah, you should do this, or this is why, or you see the benefits of those things. And one of those has definitely been their relationship with one another, our time together, grandparents. Like we knew that we wanted to use our grandparents for resources and build those relationships with the kids and their grandparents, which
And were
is
they supportive
so
too? Was
great.
that kind of a good
Yeah,
support?
interestingly, my dad was a art education professor at BYU.
Uh-huh.
My mother-in-law taught um, elementary education up in Tremonton, and she's focused a lot on art, and
Mhm,
she's very creative. So we
mm,
were like, with the resources that we have, and my mom, and how much she knows of history, and his
mhm,
dad, and that he farms, and we just knew that we could give them a very rich experience, even with their grandparents. We also had that time that we weren't tied to our town, like to stay, that
mm.
we could say, oh, we are going to go up for 2 days or for the whole weekend and go up and stay on the farm and spend time
Oh,
with grandma and
nice.
grandpa Z, and do artwork and go out to the church farm, because he managed one of the church welfare farms, and
Okay.
go kind of see like field trips and
Mhm.
grandparent field trips. So
Oh,
yeah,
beautiful. What a great connection.
we've loved that.
Yeah.
That was really important to us to
Um,
have more. It did give us more time with grandparents for sure.
oh, how beautiful.
Yeah,
That's like you said, you
priceless.
you don't regret that.
No.
Well, I want to talk about homeschool happiness. How do you keep it engaging, light, and fun? Kind of what we were talking about off camera. I was telling you that my confidence kind of wanes and waxes, and how do you, I guess, not just keep it light and fun, but how do you tell that voice in your head, like, you're not doing enough, or will they, be functioning members of society? Tell me, like, it sounds like your kids are great, so that's good to hear. Like, tell me more about that.
I mean, we were talking about that
Yeah.
off camera. It is kind of an up and down.
Uh-huh.
I think one thing that's so valuable to
Uh-huh.
us is that we have each other in a community where
Oh, good
we have
point.
other
Yeah.
mothers, other families that are doing it. And that's
Mhm.
been very helpful to, it just kind of buoys you up. And
Mhm.
it's like, oh, yes, of course, I feel that
Yeah.
same way.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes, especially early on when we were homeschooling, I felt a little more alone until we got
Oh.
into the group,
Mhm.
the co-op, where we
Mhm.
were meeting that once a week. We were going, and all the parents, you talked about that in your interview, that
Mhm.
beginning interview. But that was so valuable, to be able to gather with other families and have your kids have that social, and all the moms are
Mhm.
teaching something different that they're either passionate about or that they're good. I did ukulele and
Mm.
a
Oh,
couple
that's
other
lovely.
classes, and everybody focused on things that the moms wanted to. And so the kids
Mhm.
got this really rich experience. Plus, then they got all that social time. They were so excited to go every Tuesday or Wednesday. It was Tuesdays,
Mhm.
and you're in that group
Mhm.
now. But
Yeah.
and just amazing mothers,
Oh,
and
yeah. They're amazing.
they're amazing. They're like
They are.
amazing. But I do think so, that's been a real support, I think. And my
Mm.
kids loved that time period. But that up and down, I think we were talking about that. It just kind of happens. You have this little
Mhm.
voice that is like, oh, but what if, but I think
Mhm.
we have to continually go back, and just over that voice that comes, we have to trust what it was that we felt from the Spirit.
Mhm. You're right.
And just go back, and we don't have to know everything. We don't have to make sense of everything, but we see the brilliance come out of our kids as they're
Mhm.
learning. We see that one is like, oh my gosh, they're so good in math, but they don't really love writing.
Mhm.
And then the other one just writes a ton and reads a ton, and the other one's making jewelry, and
Yeah,
and so it
you
gives you
must
the
live here.
I asked my kids on my drive over here, I'd called them
Uh-huh.
and said, what are some things that you guys
Ooh,
have loved about
yeah.
it? And one of my daughters, she said, she's 16 now, but she
Mhm.
said, I've just loved that we've been able to learn what we want to learn, some of the things that we're directing, what we want to learn about, or the
Mm.
skills that we want you know, to acquire. Like she's the one that's making jewelry, and she
Oh.
bends all the parts and she makes beautiful things. I'm like, you're the maker of beautiful things.
Mm.
And so each of them kind of have a title in my head of who they are.
Oh.
And it's fun, but those are,
Mhm.
I see their strengths, and they're able to, that was one of the things that she said. I think we have to really try, because
Mhm.
there's always that where you're looking out and you're doubting and you're like, but what if they're not doing so good in their writing, or they're not
Mhm.
doing so, but even if they're in school, they still struggle with some of those
That's
things,
such a
and
good
we don't
point.
worry about it quite as much. You're like,
Yeah,
but they're struggling. I mean, we do,
that's true.
I know
I
moms
struggled
do.
in math, that's true.
Right. And you had your favorite subjects, and so it's the
Yeah,
same, but
that's a really good
just
reality check.
trust.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I love that. I needed that
I
today.
did
Thank
too.
you.
Me too.
Um, so, well, you talked a little bit about Bruce, your husband, how he's supportive and your family members. I would love to hear how you incorporate Come Follow Me in your weekly routine, daily. How does that work?
Right. I think one thing, number one,
Mhm.
is to, and I've learned this just talking to other moms, just even at church, and is that everybody's scripture study and come follow me and their home environment is different, right?
Mhm.
So I think we can put into our minds like, oh goodness, no, we've got to do it this way.
Right.
It's like the family
Yeah.
home evening thing with kids climbing
Yeah.
together, and you're like,
Yeah.
it just doesn't quite look like where
Yeah.
everybody's sitting there listening, but you're doing it. And
Mhm.
so for us, the number one is to, and it's hard because you still have
Mhm.
that voice on everything. And this
Mhm.
is another one of those, like, when you're not doing this well enough, or what you have in your mind that you need
Mhm.
to be, how you're doing it. And so I love getting inspiration by hearing other families, other mothers talk about
Mm.
how they do it. I'm always, through all the years, I'm always pulling things. Like, I'm like, well, what's your perspective on that? How do you guys do that? What works in your home?
Mhm.
And you're always just pulling these little bits and pieces, and you're like, I'm going to try that, but not all of it, right? Because
Mhm.
we're individuals. So that's been helpful, to not be too hard on ourselves, though
Mhm.
I have to continually tell myself that. Um, but with Come Follow Me, what I love about homeschool is teaching also comes at all times of the day. It's just
Mhm.
weaving
It's kind
through
of an extension of
everything.
parenting, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
And so um I love that we have that resource, though. I
Mhm.
love the Come Follow Me, that has been implemented, and how um the thing I love about it is that it's bringing us to Christ.
Mhm.
That's why it's called Come Follow Me, follow him. And so always just focusing on Jesus Christ, and coming coming closer to him individually, and as a family. It's so neat to just, we can totally implement Come Follow Me way better, but I'm
Mhm.
really excited about studying the Book of Mormon this year.
Same.
Way
Yeah.
excited.
It's wonderful. One of the ones I'm glad you said that. It reminded me when I interviewed our friend Andrea. She said there's like a picture study of the picture that they include in the book, and I've been doing it. It's been wonderful. So
Really?
that's like my little tip to moms these days, because it's very Charlotte Mason, right? You study a picture,
Yeah.
like we did the Tree of Life and we stared at it and we looked for the light and the shadows. And there was so much to
Yeah.
talk about in just staring at a picture. So that's,
Oh, that's so
yeah, isn't that
good.
cool?
Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool.
So I'm grateful for that tip. But I agree, definitely asking around. It's good. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
All right. So it's the heart of my podcast. I would love to know how the Spirit has spoken to you, and if you have any examples in your homeschool as the years have gone by. Does that make sense? My question?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
So, well, definitely, yeah, like I said, I feel like the Spirit's prompting you all the time, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's kind of like you're noticing something about someone, or every year at the
Mhm.
beginning of the year, you're kind of like, okay, what's this year going to look like? And
Mhm.
like, I would always be kind of open to be like, okay, what am I going to feel this year? What's the direction for the kids? What's going to be the best for them? Um, and so I think that that's really, really important. I've had things that have happened that you just think about someone and you're like, oh, I'm going to ask them about that. Or maybe
Mhm.
we need to get them into doing that. I think following the spirit is really, really, really important. And sometimes we don't realize that we're feeling it as much as we are.
Mm,
You know what I
mhm,
mean? When
mhm.
you kind of are
I
getting,
do.
you're used to it. I mean, it's kind of, you're trying to follow the spirit,
Mhm.
and especially when it comes to your family and your kids. And Um, I guess that doesn't really give any specifics, but
It's okay.
uh,
Yeah. I think I understand, like, you always hear people say, like, if they weren't going to church or weren't keeping the commandments, or if they left the church, that the absence of the spirit was very palpable, right? And so
yeah,
it's all around us, which is nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's cool. Um, well, you had mentioned this a little bit before, but like, what do you want to see in the future for your kids? Like, college mission, entrepreneurial, what's like your vision for them, or what's their vision? I'd love for you to talk more about like homeschooling in high school and maybe how that's changed. That's a lot to pack in my question, but
Yeah,
does that make sense?
yeah,
Okay.
it is
Yeah.
different. It becomes a lot more kind of self-motivated, self-directed as they get into high
Interesting.
school. So it's been a different experience, but I brought my little pictures so I could remember them, and I'll just
Mm.
set it. Oh, I
Well,
just
I'll give
dropped
to
it.
you.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And so that I could just remember them when they were little, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
um, and it, made me a little bit emotional, like looking at this and thinking about like we've been through like a lot of years together
Mhm.
of just trying to figure it out and the ups and downs of like we talked about of like, oh my goodness, oh, we're doing so these great things. And then you're like,
Uh-huh.
oh, are we doing enough? And
Yeah.
and and then, like you said, with the spirit just reassuring you, I think that's a good question to
Mhm.
your, or a good answer to your previous one, is that
Mhm.
I feel like the spirit just continually assured me and my husband, like through, like, no, they're doing okay. Their self-confidence is really been a good thing.
Mhm.
And like we've had them involved with in sports. That's been a good thing because we were worried about
Mm.
that. I know a lot of families think, well, how are they gonna make friends and kind of be more socially out there as well. That
Mhm.
with the homeschool group, that was helpful, very helpful. But the sports also has helped with that because the girls have done volleyball and Ryan loves soccer. So
Mm.
they've been involved with that and made friends that way.
That's good.
Tell me what your question was moving into this, because I
Well, I
just
guess
got
there was a
off.
two-part. One was, I actually, let's rewind a little bit. I kind of just want to know what it's like to homeschool high schoolers. Like, what does that look like? That's in my future. Like, do you have any advice for that?
Yeah, I wasn't planning on
Yeah,
doing that. I was like,
interesting.
first I thought, no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to homeschool our kids when they were little. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
do junior high because I remember junior high for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the roughest time. And so I thought,
Totally.
I think we're going to homeschool for junior high. Then when it
Mm-hmm.
came time to send her to send our oldest to or to first grade, then I was
Mm-hmm.
like readjusting, right? And like,
Mm-hmm.
wait, no, I think we're going to go. I remember the day that the bus came by
Mm-hmm.
and we had decided to do it. And the bus stop was right outside of our,
Oh, no
it
way.
was like, and I decided because I
Uh-huh.
felt it, right? I
Uh-huh.
felt like that's what we were to do.
Mm-hmm.
And here comes the yellow bus. And it's like, and all the kids are out there waiting by
Mm-hmm.
the bus stop. And
Mm-hmm.
the bus comes and I'm like, well, here it comes. And I'm like, and there it goes. Like, there it goes. And it's like almost like, and I was like, and there it goes. And here we are. So that was really cool. But we never really thought, I always thought they're going to go to high school.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it kind of came time for our oldest girl
Mm-hmm.
to go, she was like, I don't, no, I don't think I want to do that. And I was like,
Oh,
oh, well, okay, we got to look at this. And I
yeah.
think that's when we were still with the co-op group.
Oh,
So there
okay.
was that support there. That was really great.
That's great.
And then it just kind of continued on there. But
Mhm,
it's I'm continually asking and getting support from other homeschool moms whose
mhm,
our kids go to seminary and they take one of their class at the high school, and then they're doing like the good and the beautiful, which we love for language arts. I know there's others. We've just done the language arts there, and they do like an online math, and then we just do other learning like that. My husband
Mhm.
is currently giving them, because he's a big reader and I listens to a lot on Audible, but
Mm.
he's currently giving them like, okay, I want you to listen to this one and I want you to listen to this. So they're
Oh.
starting in on that to where they're, and Anna did that. They're he's directing that. And well, I was always kind of like, okay, once they get to more of a scholar phase,
Mhm. Mhm.
then we want you, I was like, you take that over, because I'm really good with the little kid part, you know,
Mhm.
like the younger kids.
Yeah, same.
That's my element, but I'm
Mhm.
like, you take the scholar part,
Mhm.
and he does. And so he's suggesting
Uh-huh.
books for them to read, which is so
Oh, that
great.
is such a good tip.
Yeah, some on all
Ah.
different subjects. So, you know,
And I feel like that came up really organically, right? Just
it
because they're
did.
friends and they're interacting a lot. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Interesting. And I was thinking, I was like, I think we're gonna do some kind of a hybrid when we get to high school, like
yeah.
seminary and orchestra or
It works
art
really
or something
well,
like
and
that.
thankfully we
Yeah.
have that like in place, that it
Mhm.
can work for us, because, you know, it still gives them some freedom to continue learning at home and not have to,
Mhm.
you know, totally change everything for themselves. But
Definitely. That makes sense.
so cool. A couple
Wow.
other things that I wanted to mention that I
Yes,
loved
please do.
about homeschooling
Yes.
is lots of time outside.
Oh,
You
goodness.
know, right? You're like, okay, let's go outside, little
Mhm.
breaks. You said, what do you do that kind of helps you get through the day? Like little breaks of like, okay,
Mhm.
and you know, going outside in the backyard, and you've got snow all down your we just called everything school. Like, okay, today it's snow school. We wrote snow school
Ah.
down the slide, you know,
Uh-huh.
we wrote snow school, and then
Uh-huh.
we, you know, we'll go out and we're like, it's nature school. And like we just kept, as when they were little, calling it something school.
Mhm.
That kind of made it fun. And art school, and um we kind of called, and I have never finished my barn quilt of this, but
Mhm.
it's, I said, told him I want to name this the Running Hollow Tree School of Arts. Is I thought I want to name our school, and this is what it is.
Mm.
So the Running Hollow Tree is because that's the other thing, is music, because
Mhm.
I'm a
Oh, music. We need to talk about
songwriter,
music.
so I
Yeah.
love to do music and play the guitar. But
Mhm.
um I have a song that's called Running Tree,
Mhm.
and it's on my first album that I did way back in 1997. I did
Wow.
97 and 99, but that one is called Running Tree. That's the
Uh-huh.
name of the album, but it's about a tree. It's kind of about this imagination of like all these animals doing what they don't do. So like the cat swims, the fish climbs the tree. What's the dog do? I can't remember. That's so funny. Anyways, and then in the end,
Uh-huh.
the tree pulls her roots up out of the ground, and she just starts to run down the street, you know. So
Mm.
it's called Running Tree, and it's just
Mhm.
essentially about dreams coming true and believing that dreams can come true
Oh,
and pursuing
beautiful.
those dreams. So that's where I got the Running Hollow Tree School of Arts, because my daughter
Mm.
Anna, when she was little, she called the willow tree the hollow tree, and I thought it was so
Mm.
cute. I thought, I'm not going to correct her yet on that. I'm going to let her
Mhm.
continue to call it the hollow tree.
Mhm.
And then when other people would say, well, what's a hollow tree? And I would say, well, it's a magical willow tree.
Mhm.
So that's kind of our family's thing. We have this magical willow tree that's called the hollow tree, and that's where we got
Oh,
the Running Hollow Tree School of Arts. So we've done
beautiful
tons of
name.
art. We've done music and art, and just lots of creativity, and you
Do
know,
you see that, especially musically, do you see them like getting into that? Are they all musicians as well, or oh, how beautiful.
they feel the music. It's so
Mhm.
great. So they're, you know, we've done a little art or a little guitar through the years,
Mhm.
but they'll go over to the piano and just like try to find chords. And we haven't done any like real music
Mhm.
lessons like
Mm.
from other people. But Anna started out with piano, but ended up not loving it at that younger age. So we
Mhm.
just started just having her be creative at home, and then she
Mhm.
learned guitar. So yeah, they're doing guitar
Mm.
and singing and
Oh,
learning on their own, and they love music. And we've done backyard concerts, because
oh,
we've done, you know,
beautiful.
benefit concerts to raise money for like nonprofits, one called Trekking for Kids, and what else have we done? We have a food truck that I was going to
Oh.
tell you about, entrepreneurial. So things
Oh,
like
yeah.
that between my husband and I, we've been able to
Mhm.
be, that one was kind of like, oh, wow, really? You guys want to do that? Like, that's a big deal,
The food
but it's
truck?
been
That's
so
a
good for
huge
them
deal.
because they've been able to work it and learn from that.
What's it
And
called?
it's called the Grassy Cow.
Oh, I love
It's a
it.
burger food truck. And so we just have it just here in the Heber Valley.
Oh, how
We don't
beautiful.
really travel out of the valley.
And so
but
they're in charge of like finances and
they get to see all
accounting
of that.
and
Well,
that's
they're
all the part
taking
that
the
scares me,
orders.
accounting.
Yeah, they're not doing all of that. It kind of all comes through the system,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, it's like made
Okay.
easy, but they're taking the orders, they're making the
Nice.
burgers, they got their food handlers permit, we're
Oh,
going out as a family, they helped name
like
the
a homeschool dream.
burgers. They taste tested them the first time they were made, and you know, they're learning all of that. They're doing all the prep and stuff like that.
Wow.
So it's all part of the homeschool experience for them to learn, you know, but
Mhm.
it's been really neat to be able to be creative as a family and kind of between Bruce and his my husband and
Mhm.
his ideas of that kind of stuff, and then me and my ideas, the
Mhm.
combination, we've had some really fun things.
Oh, how wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, tell me more. You said you had more notes that you wanted to share. I'd love to hear.
Yeah, let's see. So that I think I had told you everything on
Oh,
my
that's
list.
awesome. Well, my last question is always, what's one piece of advice you'd give to homeschool moms? I'd love to hear.
Mm, um, um, Probably just to trust in the process and not be too
Mm,
hard on thinking it needs to look. I never felt like it needed to look like school, so I was like knowing that like this is going to be a creative endeavor, you know, and
mhm,
we're going to have lots of fun with it. But it's that same thing.
mhm,
You're going, but you just have these little doubts come in of like, oh, maybe you know, we're not measuring up to that, or maybe,
mhm,
you know, or you feel overwhelmed at times and you're like,
mhm,
you need a break and you feel tired and,
mhm,
you know, you're thinking, but at those times, I think you can kind of take a break in a way, even though you're not
mhm,
breaking from everything, but you just like
mm,
switch it up.
mhm,
It helps, I think, to do that. And then to just enjoy that you're doing it with your family, not to
mhm,
forget to enjoy it. I think that would be my whole thing, you know, is to you have this time with your kids and it's not very long,
mhm,
and to trust in them and that they are going to learn things at certain times. It's not like that. This is a big one. It's not like everybody at 6 is going to learn this and be at the same place. You just kind of trust in that you're leading each one through, but that you're always learning.
mhm.
And then they're all individual. And so I've loved learning that. I've had to learn that as well through time. You too?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I was just thinking they all come with their gifts and their talents,
Yeah.
and you just kind of help mold them, I feel like,
And teach them to have
Yeah.
joy. And if
Yeah.
they can learn to grow up and be happy,
Mhm.
that's huge.
Mhm.
And learn, yeah, and know that that's important, you know, is to
Mhm.
learn to be happy as well.
I love
Yeah,
that.
I love
That's
that.
such good advice.
So,
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I am so excited to have my first musical guest ever on.
oh wow.
And thanks for being up for singing today. Unless you wanted to say anything else, I was gonna just.
I'd like to turn around and interview you.
Oh.
No, I know you already were interviewed, but
This setup feel good to you? I'm really excited to
Yeah.
hear your beautiful voice.
this is one other thing that's been hard, and you might be the same with.
Uh-huh.
I think sometimes as a homeschool mom, some can do it all, and
Mhm.
I'm not one of those. Like I couldn't like continue to write and perform, even though we did little things here and there, you know, and we did the
Mhm.
backyard concerts and stuff like that.
So
But
beautiful.
um, but I just came to I just had it come to my mind one day. It was like, I'm not writing songs anymore. And I'm not, I was writing songs, but I'm not writing and recording. And I just thought, you know what? Like they are my song right now.
Mhm.
So
Oh, wow.
that's what came into my mind. And I just thought, they are my song. This is my creation right now.
Mhm.
And so homeschool for me and my husband has been very creative. We've created our home environment. We've created how we're going to move through the days and the weeks, and we've created the environment for the kids, and we've created what our family means to us and what we're doing, that we're walking this road less traveled a little bit, and
Mhm.
and so we have been creative, and they've learned to be creative, which is a gift. So even though I couldn't do everything that I would maybe in my mind think is this is these are my creations, like
Mhm.
we've been creating a ton of amazing days and amazing moments and amazing experiences. And so this is good for me to even realize right now is like,
It's kind of your
I'm telling
epiphany.
myself,
Yeah.
yeah. But music has been lovely in our home. And so yeah, it still has been a part, just has looked a little bit different for a time.
Oh.
But this is a primary song that I've sung in our home a lot. And it's one of my favorites. It's called My Heavenly Father Loves Me. So. Whenever I hear the song of a bird, or look at the blue, blue sky, whenever I feel the rain on my face, or the wind as it rushes by, whenever I touch a velvet rose, or walk by our lilac tree, I'm glad that I live in this beautiful world Father created for me. He gave me my eyes that I might see the color of butterfly wings. He gave me my ears that I might hear the magical sound of thee. He gave me my life, my mind, my heart. I thank him so reverently for all his creations of which I love. Yes, Father, yes. Father loves me.
That was so beautiful. Your kids are so
Thanks.
lucky to have you
Thank you.
as their homeschool mom.
Thank you
Well,
for having me.
Thanks so much, Julie.
Okay.